Carrie Nowak. She was a newlywed. She had just shown a wedding video, gathered her friends together to show them a wedding video just the day before. Here we have Joseph Mistrulli. It says, God and angels up above, send us home, the one we love. And I have here with me Vinnie Kamaj, whose father, Rocco, was in the World Trade Center. And can you tell me where he worked and when your family last heard from him?
My father was a window washer on Tower 2, the observation deck. He worked the rig outside. He last called us at 9:15 a.m. from the 105th floor, where he said there was 200 to 300 people just on that floor waiting for them to be told to head down.
And did he say that he was heading down, or did he feel safe?
He said, don't panic, to my mom. He said, don't get upset. Tell my kids I'm going to be okay, not to worry about it. I'm in God's hands. We're all going to be okay, don't worry.
And tell me why today you're distributing these flyers.
This morning, my mom woke me up early telling me that his name was on one of the survivor lists on an internet web page, and that we can get the best information from the building behind us, the armory.
And what happened when you went into the armory here?
I have a case number. I looked it up to see if my dad was in any of these hospitals, and no luck yet.
What's in your head now about what you think happened?
I don't know. I know that my father, he wouldn't have just left everyone behind. He would have looked for his workers. He would have helped people out. He did it on the 90th when they bombed it in '93. He helped a pregnant woman down the stairs.
So he was in the building in '93?
Yes, he was. He's been working there since 1973.
Was he scared to go back and work in that building after the '93 bombing?
My father went back the next day. They asked him, because they needed to inspect the outside of the building, and my father knew how to operate the rig, so he brought down all the workers to inspect the building.
If you think your father might be out there somewhere, what would you want to say to him?
I want to tell him that we all miss him. His little nephew, Luke, misses him, and that we're strong. We got hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, I've been talking to these families for 2 days now, and all of these stories are very much like this. People are just hoping that their relatives are out there somewhere, and they're begging us to talk about them, to show their pictures, hoping that if someone's seen them, that they might be able to identify them and give some information. Aaron?
They were window washers and lawyers and investment bankers and maintenance workers, and they shared very little in their lives, but on Tuesday morning they shared one of the great American tragedies, and now their families look for them and pray for them, and it utterly breaks your heart. Judy?
Aaron, it's very hard to talk after listening to the gentleman Elizabeth was just talking with. It does break your heart. Airplane travel in this country, one of the things we've been very much keeping an eye on. Most of the airlines have resumed flights, but they are running only a limited schedule. They are concentrating first on those flights that were suspended on Tuesday when all of this mayhem first happened. But even with a new activity at some of the airports, like what you're seeing here in Atlanta, there are others that still remain closed at this hour. CNN's Patty Davis has been following the air travel story over the last few days. Patty, bring us up to date on how much travel is now being permitted and what is going on. Patty.
Well, Judy, air travel slowly ramping up at the nation's airports. The airline industry says that, in fact, as of late this afternoon, there are about 1,200 flights in the air. The FAA says that most of those, though, were diverted flights, originally diverted because of the Terrorist Act, as well as airlines repositioning their flights to get them to the airports where they need to be. FAA says that there have been no new flights, but airlines are filing their flight plans for new flights at this time. Now, currently, 67% of the airports have met the FAA's stringent new security standards to reopen. Now, those include the ones that are open now: Dulles Airport, among them Atlanta, Los Angeles, the New York airports, Dallas, Fort Worth. Now, notably still closed, Washington Reagan Airport. That is the airport that's about a mile and a quarter away from where that one plane crashed into the Pentagon. Now, overseas carriers not allowed to fly, and actually you're seeing pictures there right now at Washington's Reagan National Airport this morning. They put 3 massive snow blowers in front of the air traffic control tower. They say that they wanted to prevent terrorist acts there. Those have since been replaced by huge concrete barriers. Now, foreign carriers, as I was saying, overseas carriers are not allowed right now by the FAA into the United States. The FAA, in fact, says that it will turn back any airplanes that are overseas carriers that are coming into the U.S. And one FAA spokesperson said that, in fact, there has been anecdotal evidence that that has happened. Judy?
About these security measures that the airlines are now having to institute, how difficult is it, number one, and how long is it going to take?
Well, there certainly are much more stringent security standards in place. Those include no knives that you can bring in. You also have to, you cannot check in at curbside. You can't check in off of the airport, at any off-airport site. Vehicles near the terminal are monitored very carefully. You know, the airlines are telling passengers this is going to be very slow going. One Alaska Airlines official, in fact, said, quote, if anyone thinks they'll be able to show up 20 minutes before their flight and make it on board, they will be left at the gate. Some airlines saying come as much as 2 hours ahead of time. Now, one of those security measures being talked about today was by Transportation Secretary Norman Mineta. He talked about exploring possibly using the military's elite counterterrorism unit to help patrol the nation's skies.
We are asking for expeditious treatment and action by the Department of Defense to give us some Delta Force folks. They are already trained on high-risk situations, and it wouldn't take that much more training to put the Delta Forces on the airplanes.
The Pentagon says that, in fact, there have been discussions on that, but it's more in the range of training the U.S. Air Marshals with Delta Force-type training. Judy?
All right, Patty, which just brings to mind many more people involved in air travel, air security than we've ever seen before in this country. Aaron?
Judy, thank you. We just got a report, and I want to frame this for you very carefully, that we have been watching the American Express building, and we are getting a report that there is some collapsing. I don't want to suggest to you here, and I don't want you to hear it this way, that this large skyscraper has collapsed, but we are getting reports that there is some collapsing. What precisely that means, we are looking for clarification now. I don't know how much more serious the situation is down there, but the American Express building is one of 2 buildings in the area of the site that are extremely unstable. Many of those buildings are unstable, but these 2, One Liberty Plaza, I'm going to just turn around here while I talk to you for a second just to see what's going on behind me, that the American Express building is getting some crumbling. Or some collapsing, and we'll keep an eye on that. The building has been a triage center. It's been a morgue as well. Several hours ago, this situation started to deteriorate, and the firefighters in the area, the people who were working in the triage unit and in the morgue, were told to get out, and they did. Rescue teams were moved away from the building. It is just another example, again, of how unstable the situation is there, and we will endeavor to figure out exactly what some collapsing means, how much more serious the situation is at the American Express building, about 30 blocks away from us. We have been able to get closer today to the scene, and closer also today to the firefighters and rescue workers who are trying so desperately to find those nearly 5,000 people who remain missing And we have talked to them, and we have some of what they had to say to us to play for you now.
Well, what we're trying to do now is just, probably the deputy chiefs will be able to talk to you a little bit more. I'll give you just an overview. But we try to search any kind of surface victims and any kind of voids. There's still a lot of voids underneath the Trade Center. I had just been underneath, and we went down to the PATH train, which is like 2 levels below what you see right up here. And we got to the PATH trains. We investigated some of the areas down there. And then we were called up because they were going to do some debris removal up top.
So when you're talking about the voids underneath, you're literally, 2 stories below ground on top of the covered by debris?
Up above, yes, correct.
Can you describe what that must be like?
There was, just a lot of emptiness. That's about it. A little, darkness, empty. There's a couple of fires burning down below, but they're insignificant right now. The main purpose of the mission right now is to get the surface victims or any people trapped in any voids. And that's what we're trying to do. Our firehouse, we're trying to get that in working condition. We had portable generators working. We have the lights back on again, so this way guys can come in, grab some bottles of water, something to drink, and keep everybody going. So everybody's doing a great job.
What happened to the firehouse?
We had all the windows blown out. We have actually, from our house, we have 5 guys missing. So everyone feels like if they can do a little bit of part just to try to get to their guys, that it's an accomplishment today. Even just getting down there and not finding anything was still, at least we felt like we were trying to do something.
Were you the first 2 company?
Well, our company was the first 2 company. I was off.
But your company was the first one here?
Correct.
You must have lost a lot of lives.
We lost, from our company alone, we lost 5. But there were guys that we run in with all the time down here, just missing companies, can't find them, don't know where they are. And that's why everybody's here today.
Tell me, the situation as far as the debris and the removal goes and the danger involved, what thoughts go through your mind when you're working out?
It's always dangerous. All the guys up here today, I mean, they're all doing dangerous things. It's just part of the job. We understand that. Each one of us know that it could have been us that day. I just happened to be off. Not my change of tours. It seemed to be that it was my lucky day.
Can you explain to us the feeling that you get when you know that as time goes passes that the chances...
Time is of the essence. The quicker we can get to the people, the better chance of survival. The quicker we get to the voids, any type of voids that we might have. And there are plenty of voids underneath the building. So there's still hope. That's why everybody's here digging through the rubble right now.
What about the situation as far as all these buildings around the area? Their structural integrity is damaged.
The buildings department would be able to tell you a little bit more about that. But
what about you as far as working in this environment?
It's dangerous, but that's what this is the career we've chosen, and this is what we do, and that's why everybody here today. Everybody here today either knows somebody. Everybody here knows somebody that's missing. That's why we're all here.
I hate to ask this, and forgive me for asking this, but does it get to a point, days down the line, weeks down the line, when you just know that there's no more hope?
There's always seems to be hope. I don't know, how long it's been, some of the other collapses that we've had around the country, but there is opportunity still, even as a week goes by, that there's a chance to get somebody. No.
Right, yeah. Thank you, Luke. Thank you very much.
Lieutenant John Radigan down on at Ground Zero. Hope is what we use to get through the worst of times, and this certainly qualifies. And it's going to get a little worse tonight. Rain, heavy rain, high winds expected to move into the area. It will simply make the work harder, more dangerous, and frankly more miserable for the people down there. And there is plenty of misery there already. Judy.
Aaron, Bruce Morton is one of our reporters here in Washington who's covered just about every story I can think of in this capital city for at least the last 30 years. And Bruce has done some thinking today about the impact of these attacks on the American government and the American people.
World War II brought Americans together. Most believed that Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan were evil and aggressive. Americans demanded victory. The phrase of the day was unconditional surrender. Korea and Vietnam, in contrast, divided the country. Vietnam, in particular, left Americans suspicious, leery of wars, and in the conflict since, the motto seems to have been, bomb all you want, but we can't stand American casualties. That seems different now. No yellow ribbons, bring the hostages home, please. Flags this time, half-staff but proud. People are lining up to give blood. The Red Cross 800 number logged 700,000 calls in the first 6 hours after an appeal went out. Some military recruitment officers see an increased interest. And the country seems prepared to send its young people into harm's way.
I think the United States is in a long twilight struggle against these forces of evil that have chosen to destroy us because we are good. And I believe that it may take a lot of time, a lot of American treasure, and perhaps some American blood.